Welcome to this week's episode of the Feeney Call. This week we are featuring bone stock driver Victoria McLenon from Peterborough Speedway, driver of the number 89 Honda Prelude. She's going to be joining us here in a couple of minutes. Once again, this podcast is for all motorsports. So we have demolition derbies, we have dirt track guys, asphalt drivers. So if there's anyone you'd like to feature, you can leave a comment down below in the section, message me and stuff like that. But without further ado, let's bring on Victoria McLenon. All right, joining us this week is Victoria McLenon. She is the driver of the number 89 bone stock at Peterborough Speedway. How's it going today, Victoria?
It's going good. How are you?
Good. So, people that are watching the podcast or listening to the podcast may not know much about you. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes here to why don't you introduce yourself to some people here?
Okay. I'm Victoria. As Brandon said, I'm the driver of the 89 Bone Stock. I'm part of the team Runs-Amok. Um, I've been racing for 2 or 3 years now, depending on if you want to count the COVID year. Came in 10th place my rookie year and then 8th place last year, and I'm hoping to get better from there.
All right. So with that being said, you were got a few years experience in your belt. You got to drive in with the mini stocks at Autumn Colors. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that experience where you got to bolt on some Azenas and go a little bit fast?
That was actually really fun. I was a bit iffy at first. So we threw the tires on my car. It looked really pretty. And I went out. I was a little bit iffy because it was with the other young guns who were driving. So none of like some of them haven't driven in mini stocks before and all that. But I went out there. I passed some people who were actually in mini stocks and not just a bone stock with mini stock tires. Um, so I passed some people, had some people almost crash into me. I avoided it, thank gosh. But yeah, changed the way I race for sure because it just feels different and you have more grip. So I've learned more about the car that way, and it helped me do as good as I did in autumn colors.
So with that being said, you've had some good nights, you've had some bad nights. What's one of the best nights you can remember racing so far?
Oh gosh. One of the best ones was probably ACC. It was the second day of autumn colors, and this race determined whether or not I would be in the B class or if I'd go right up to the B main, but I meant right up into the A main because in the second or last lap, I passed someone and I finished third, and I made several family members so proud of me that they started to cry.
All right.
Not that I like seeing my family cry, but
It was tears of joy, not tears of sorrow.
yes,
Tears of joy is
exactly.
always accepted. So
Yes.
you're normally a shy person until people get
Yes.
to know you. So Peterborough Speedway has fan appreciation. So as a shy person, what's some things you do to like cope with all the fans coming down and
I kind of put on my real estate face. Not my real estate. Um, I keep forgetting what it's called, but I put on my customer service face.
yeah, that's it.
So, yeah, that's it. We're just gonna say that. Um, yeah, I kind of do that, and I can have this more outgoing side of me if I get in the right mindset. So I just interact with people how I would want to be interacted with. I let the little ones get in the car and everything, and they all love it. And it's funny watching them go to reach the pedals, but they can't reach. They're like, someday I'm gonna reach and be able to drive a car like this.
So with that being said, also at the same time, being shy. We actually didn't talk for I think the first year you raced, and we started becoming more and more friends the second year, basically as we played
Yeah.
Wreckfest and etc. through the off season.
Yes. I tried to breach out a bit more, but I more just stayed in my pit and with the people around us that I would interact with more. I would never really leave my pit because I was just so anxious and whatnot. But after I started talking with more people and getting to know more people at the Wreckfest group, I've gained quite a few friends, and I'm happy I have them in my life.
So you're obviously a female racer, and so what are some positives of being a female racer, and what are some of the hard times and stereotypes that you have to deal with that say a male racer like me wouldn't normally have to deal with, just for like other females looking to possibly get into motorsports?
There's not really a lot of negatives to it. At Peterborough Speedway anyways, I can't really say that for other tracks because I don't have experience there, but I actually get a lot of support. Um, like people always come up to me and they're like, "Hey, good job, whatnot," and they don't mention anything about the fact that, "Oh, you did good for a girl," blah blah blah. They're always encouraging me, they're pushing me, they're trying to get like they're trying to make me the best I can be, and I'm actually competing with them. I'm not just driving along beside them trying to be like them. I am a race car driver. I'm not a female racer. I'm just a race car driver, and that's how everyone at the track looks at me, and I love it.
That's good to hear because I can't assume what your experience is. Like I could see what we do with the pits. Like we treat you like one of us because you are one of us.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
bro.
but I know I've heard from like other people that some females have a harder time because there are still some guys that say racing's a men's sport, and it really isn't. It's an everybody sport. Um,
Yes.
so when you're out there racing and you're tearing fenders or not tearing fenders, bumping doors, bumping fenders and stuff like that, who are some of your favorite people to race with?
Definitely Kristen Laval. Um, because we're sort of progressing together. He recently got a new car, so he's been learning that car. He only started racing a bit before I did too. Um, so we have like this friendly competition going, like, oh, I was a few seconds faster than you this time, or whatever, and it's always fun. Um, I also like racing with the so-called big guys, as you would call them. Um, like the top three, top five drivers. Because they're always willing to give me pointers and we push each other and whatnot, but only if it's comfortable. And they all come up to me and ask, like, hey, is it okay if I give you a little push off the start? Because my car was slow to start off and it just got more momentum and whatnot. But yeah, so they're always nice and supportive.
So with you bringing that up, that like people pushing on the starts, Peterborough Speedway, sorry, Peterborough Speedway is kind of known the bone stocks for having their own sign language inside the cars. Have you participated in the Peterborough Speedway helmet tap for the bump drafting?
No. Also because I am very short, so even if I tapped my helmet, no one would see it.
All right, so you're just gonna give the big wave.
Well, we also sort of talk beforehand, so we see the lineup and I go up to them. I'm like, hey, just so you know, my car is a little bit slow off the start. Just give me a push and I'll be right on my way.
Yeah. Once you get the big old beastie going, she's good.
Oh yeah, Beastly's amazing.
So why don't you give us a little bit of history, what you can on that car to maybe let people know what you're driving?
Um, so I can't remember the history of it all that much, but it still is my uncle's car. I just drive it. Um, it's been racing for a long time, over 10 years, I believe. Um, it's a Gen 4 Prelude. Um, and it's getting old and tired, but it still loves to go fast. But going off the start, you kind of have to give it half gas way earlier than most people would, and then you floor it a little bit early, and you're going with everyone else. It took me so long to get that right. I jumped a few starts. I wasn't up fast enough, and people were pushing me and whatnot, which I completely understand. But as a new learner, as a whatever, I can't talk properly. Um, as a new driver to racing, I didn't understand that people were pushing. So when I got pushed ahead for the first time, I thought they were being aggressive, but no, it's just something people do, and I came to terms with it really soon. But yeah, it's a good, reliable car. Its name is Beastly because it's a tank. Um, like I got in my first crash and I didn't even feel anything. I was like, oh, okay. I tried to keep going, but then my tires were flat and I didn't even notice that. So yeah.
Was that the crash with the O2 on top of your car?
Oh gosh, no. That one I knew I was done. Um,
Which was the first crash that you had there that you're talking about?
I think someone just T-boned me and my tires were flat from all the traction going sideways. Um, so I just pulled off, we changed my tires and I went back on again. It was actually that night, I believe, that I had the O2 on top of me.
Yeah, because there's pictures on Facebook of that wreck where the O2 is basically almost vertical on top of your car with another car underneath. I think it was the A car underneath him, Jake.
Um,
I think it was,
yes,
yeah, I think he goes by the eight. Um,
I
so
believe so.
so your car, if I remember the history correctly, is the old Griffith Powell car.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm responsible for one of the dents in those doors for me popping a tire going up into him. But that car is, I believe it's won a couple Autumn Colors Class, a couple championships. It is a very old car and very quick car and makes you smile every time you get to drive it.
Yeah. Well, anytime I'm in a car, I smile.
So let's move on to why don't we talk about a couple of the sponsors you have and what they do for your racing program.
Um, Second time around tires. They are good to us. We get most of our tires from them, I believe. I'm more so just the driver of the car, so I just sit there, look pretty, and I drive it. Um, I don't know a lot. I memorized the names of the sponsors. I need to look more into that.
Okay. So I know that you have, I believe it's your uncle with JRS was on the car last year.
Yes.
So, and then you got your other uncle with Comic Alley Toys.
Yes.
Did I say that right this time?
Yes, Comic Alley Toys.
I actually got it right.
Um, on the hood, I have the Ontario Agricultural Association, OAAS, I believe. It's a mouthful. Um, they it was a coworker at my one of my older jobs, and he thought it was so cool that I raced, so he wanted to help and support. So another company he worked with started to sponsor me.
So now that you're growing and getting a few more sponsors as you've progressed in your talent level from rookie to where you are now, going into 2023 season, which should be starting relatively soon, as long as this gets released relatively soon, or it may already been started. We don't know yet. So, with that being said, what are some of your goals you would like to get to in the 2023 season?
Um, well, I'm probably going to be driving the other car. So the faster, the manual one, it's the yellow version of Beasley. The one that my uncle was driving. Um, So I'm hoping to get at least one checkered flag under my belt. Hopefully more, but I'm keeping my goals lower and I'm gonna build up and make more as I go and get better than eighth place in points this year.
All right, so that's the 2023 goals. Where do you see yourself progressing as you like move through? Do you want to look up to maybe going up to mini stock? Is there like talk? Do you
Um,
like want to move up into like a truck? I know you love the legend cars.
yeah. Um, the legend cars just fascinate me because of how small they are, but they go so fast. Um, a few people, I have to admit, have been trying to encourage me to go up to mini stock. Um, Depending on how we do this year in the faster car, I might be considering it. It's still an idea I'm playing with, but I'm happy in bone stock right now. It's where I'm comfortable. I have a lot of friends in there, and I don't necessarily feel with where I am right now that I'm ready to move up yet. Um, because I kind of want to be on the same skill level, and there's a lot of mini stock drivers that are way better than where I currently am. There's bone stock drivers way better than I currently am. So I just want to progress and see where this year takes me.
So with progression and stuff like that, I came out and helped you and Sean one week, and we conquered some of the nerves that week. So
Yes.
why don't we go through some of the things you do in the car to like keep those nerves down? Because like
Oh,
it's one of those driver's rituals that nobody really talks about, but like why don't you like give us a few like trade secrets of like how you keep yourself calm and relaxed and having a good time?
um, I don't. Um, so when I'm buckling in and I'm sitting in the car in the lineup, my right leg is always rocking back and forth really fast. Like, people have probably seen my car rocking side to side like this for my legs just going sideways. Um, because I have a lot of anxiety issues, but when I'm actually driving, they don't happen. I'm more concerned about where I'm going, who's around me, when I'm turning and everything like that. But all of my nerves are before the race. So when I'm getting into my car, I always make sure that my straps are really tight. So I'll tighten them all up. I'll sit there, my legs will be wiggling, and then a couple minutes go by and I'm like retightening my straps. I just go through all of the safety precautions over and over and over again. Make sure that I'm nice and snug just in case.
See, where I find I'm worse with nerves is if we've been racing for like say half the race, 10, 12 laps, and we get a red flag. I always get more nervous then because
Oh, yes,
we're always worried about if the other driver's okay, and
of
we won't
course.
we won't know until either you see the ambulance leave or at the same time sometimes we won't even know if they're okay until we get out of the car at the end of the night.
Yeah,
So obviously you're concerned for the driver as another driver, but at the same
yes,
time, now everyone's bundled back up. Everyone's now been waiting, and now instead of doing a 20 lap race where people are patient, people tend to be a lot more impatient, and it creates well, cautions breed cautions, red flags breed cautions or red flags.
yes, as well as going on top of that. Half of the time you see the crash as it's happening for the red flags and stuff like that. And as you're driving, well, as I'm driving anyways, I'm more cautious because it's just set in that yes, it's really safe, but there's always dangers in anything you do. So, yeah, it's just I forgot about the red flags. It's been a long time. Winters are too long. Um, but yeah, you have the memory of that car possibly flipping over on its roof in front of you, or having the car almost land on top of you like this after they crash into you and someone's crashing into them.
Or, for example, for me, being in the car that's standing up like this on its nose.
I still remember sitting there and I was T-boned by him. And then I look over and I'm making sure that we're both okay, and I was about to get going. And then as we're about to be lapped at this time, so as the two leaders are coming up, the one guy, I guess he's focused and whatnot, but he ends up underneath the O2. And so I'm looking at this car, making like just, and then all of a sudden I see the car slowly start to go like this on front of me. If one more car was there, it would have been upside down, and I already had to have help getting out of my car because there was a big hood right where I would be.
And if he would have kept going, he would have spilled his juice box all day long.
Oh, yes.
So everyone knows that we're big Dr. Pepper drinkers. Anyone that's ever seen us knows we have a Dr. Pepper in our hands. So when you're driving your race car, do you stash a Dr. Pepper in the car in case you have a red flag, or like do you have a water in the car, a
Um,
Gatorade?
I didn't have room for that in Beasley, but I now have a cup holder in the newer car, so I'm probably going to have a drink of some sort depending on how I'm feeling. Obviously non-alcoholic. Yeah.
Or depending on the sponsor, we
No.
if you get sponsored by, say, a company, you got to have their drink ready to go.
Eh,
Just hope it's Dr. Pepper and you'll be fine.
yeah, yeah.
Or like
Dr.
Aquafina.
Pepper, sponsor us.
We could use the product.
Yes.
So have you had a chance to try the new strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper yet?
Yes.
It
And
is
the vanilla.
phenomenal.
It is.
It tastes like literally carbonated strawberry ice cream. So sorry, off topic a little bit. We were talking about this Sunday night on the True North Racing podcast with Megan and John because they were like setting up to try it together on the podcast. Well, I had one before and I told them about them. So then John went out and got one for both of them to try, gave it to Megan so they could try it live on the podcast. John drank one, Megan drank the one she was given, and like they both didn't do it on the podcast. So now they got to redo it on the podcast when Megan's feeling better. That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
So back to with the racing and stuff, not just the Dr. Pepper stuff. So I went back to like you the legend cars fascinate you and stuff like that. What's one of your favorite divisions to go watch if you're just gonna go watch a race that you're not participating in?
I love to watch the super stocks. Um, and the hot rods. I have a family member who drives in the hot rods as well. Um, and watching him progress and become so much better every race is astounding, and it makes me realize how my family members feel about me driving. Um, I like watching the bigger cars because they're so fast, but there's so little room for them. It's amazing watching them maneuver their cars, passing people and avoiding things.
It is definitely
Cause
sometimes hard to avoid things in the bigger cars.
yes,
It's sometimes actually I find it's harder to avoid things when I was driving the legend car, oddly enough,
yes, I
because
understand that though.
so for people who might not know what I'm talking about because they've not racers maybe, but they enjoy watching the legend cars being I think they're like a 5/8 scale of the actual Chevys and Fords and stuff that they were built from.
They're
Um,
tiny.
yeah, they're 1,300 pounds, but because they're going, I think I was doing roughly mid 15-second lap times, which is no, I think I was doing like mid 14s, which is somewhere between late model and super stock times. They're so fast, but everyone, when there's something that happens, everyone just goes everywhere. It scatters like a field of bees. But the problem is when everyone's going every which way and there's like 10 cars at like a 30 car field, it's just sometimes you have nowhere to go because people are spinning to avoid and stuff like that. And you're still running, so you're running a motorcycle engine transmission and stuff like that. And those cars are harder to blow up than I would say a big car with bigger brakes. It's
Also, too, the steering is way more finicky.
It's not that the steering's finicky, it's what happens is the wheelbase is shorter. So the stability isn't there. So it's like
Yes.
when you throw Beastly into the corner and you throw it in sideways, it will sit sideways for so long before you've stepped over the balance point where it spins out. It's same as a super stock. I can throw it in so far and then it's giving me a little warning here. Sorry. But yeah, it'll throw it in sideways so far and before it spins out, especially with the brake and the gas. Where the legend cars you have, say this is the bone stocks, that's the room of error you have for sideways between your grip level. Mini stocks would be a little bit more bigger tire, but like super stocks. But like on a legend car, it's like that. That's as far as you can make that. You have to be consistent every single time to not spin the car out or drive it slow enough that you don't have to worry about it. That was my job. So we have about 10 minutes roughly here. Um, with my show kind of being newer, who would someone you would like to see come onto a podcast such as mine or Stickers and Scuffs or True North Racing, who doesn't normally get the kind of attention that most people are brought on by?
Laval Racing. I'd like to see Tegan on here at some point. And I'd like you to interview my uncle.
Well, the biggest thing with your uncle is we have to get him used to technology.
He has a smartphone now.
He has a smartphone, but this is done on computers. Maybe we'll just have to like bring him over here and we get the same tapestry background for Sean.
I mean, he does have a touchscreen computer, so
He has a
we'll see.
touchscreen computer,
Yes,
but has a like
it's
doesn't he
quite
still have a
funny.
rotary phone?
He used to. But it's quite funny whenever he goes onto my computer to like try to like show me something, he's going to scroll on my computer and leaving fingerprints on my screens and ugh.
Wait till he tries to zoom in. So, is there anything that you would like people to know about you that maybe is a understanding about you, or like people that are coming to watch you for the first time? Like, what's something you want to like get across? Be like little bonus features for you.
Um, I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandfather comes whenever he can and comes to support me. And he always comes down to the cars whenever there's a fan appreciation night. Um, there's not really much. I just like to race and be out there, and I love having fans and these little kids like run up to me knowing my name and coming to hug me and seeing my car, and yeah, it's a good time.
So, with that being said, we got about 7 minutes this year left. I'm going to give you time to that you can thank everybody you would like, including your sponsors or like people like your grandfather and your uncles and stuff like that. You'll have open floor, and then I'll give you a few minutes to do that.
All right. I would like to thank you, Brandon, for having me on this podcast and helping me out on the car. A big thank you to my uncle, Sean Solomon, because I would not be racing if it wasn't for him. My grandfather, and then my other set of grandparents who are also sponsors for Dale and Candy's DD service. The Barn Emporium. We have Second Time Round Tires, Affiliate Racing. Uh, there's so many, and I'm drawing so many blanks. Um, that's about all I can remember at the moment.
Right. And if people are trying to find you on social media and stuff like that, where can they find you and the race team on social media?
Runs Amok Racing on Facebook. That's where we mainly are. Possibly thinking about seeing if we can get an Instagram page, but it's hard enough to keep up with the Facebook, with everyone having busy lives and everything. But yeah, find us on our Facebook page.
All right. Thank you once again for joining us, and then we're gonna wish you a good night and hopefully have a successful season.
Awesome. Thank you. You too.